morning. Welcome to All This Math TV. Today, we're going to be adding two fractions. Now, one thing we want to notice and take into consideration is that we're adding two fractions that have different denominators. So that's where our work begins. We can't add fractions or subtract fractions unless our denominators are the same. So we need to find something called the least common denominator, also known as the LCD. All right? So how do you find the LCD? The way you find the LCD is you think of what's the smallest number that 3 and 5 both can multiply into. So what's the smallest number, right? One trick that you can use is you look at these numbers and say, okay, which is the bigger number? That's number one. Is 3 or 5 the bigger number? 5 is the bigger number. We know that because we know how to count. And we know that in counting, 5 comes after 3, so 5 is the bigger number. Then we say, okay, well, what's 5 times 1? We're just going to multiply the bigger number by 1, by 2, by 3, by 4, until we get to a number that 3 also can multiply into. And that number is going to be in my LCD. What I mean is this. If I have 5, I do 5 times 1. 5 times 1 equals 5. 3 can't multiply into 5 evenly. So 5 is not the LCD. Then I do 5 times 2. And I'm going in order. I'm going to multiply by 1, then I'm going to multiply by 2, then 3, then 4. 5 times 2 is 10. 3 can't multiply evenly into 10. So 10 is not the LCD. Then I do 5 times 3. I get 15. 3 can multiply into 15. And I know that because I had to do 5 times 3 to get the 15. So that means my LCD of these two fractions is 15. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write two new fractions, both having the denominator of 15. Now, next thing we got to figure out is, what are my numerators going to be? See, these are the numerators, these are the numerators, these are the denominators. What are my numerators going to be? Right? Right here and right here. Now, you got to think about it like this. What did I have to do to change this 3 into a 15? I had to multiply by 5. So in this fraction, in order to keep the fraction equivalent, if I multiply the denominator by 5, it should make sense that I would have to multiply the numerator by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. And you put that right there. And 1 out of 3 is equivalent to 5 out of 15. For example, if you took a test, hopefully this didn't happen, or it doesn't happen to you, but if you took a test with 3 questions on it and you got 1 question correct, you'd have the same percentage score as if you took a test with 15 questions on it and you only got 5 correct. That'd be the same thing. All right? Then over here, how did I change this 5 into a 15? What would I multiply 5 by to become 15? Multiply it by 3, because 5 times 3 is 15. In order to keep an equivalent fraction, if I multiply 5 by 3, I got to multiply 2 by 3. And what's 2 by 3? 6. All right? So now I can add. And when you add fractions, just like when you subtract fractions, you only add or subtract the numerators. You do not add the denominators together. Our new denominator is not going to be 30, even though 15 plus 15 is 30. We don't add denominators. At another time, I can tell you conceptually and explain to you why we don't add denominators or subtract denominators, but that's not the purpose of this particular video. For this particular video, I just want you to gain an understanding of how to add and subtract fractions that don't have the same denominator originally. So all we do is add the numerator. So you need to add 5 plus 6 mentally, and you get 11. That's your numerator. And then you keep the denominator, which is 15. And then you want to always check to see if you can reduce your fraction, right? Can I reduce this? Do these two numbers have a common factor? They don't. So that means that this is the final answer. And if we wanted to check our work, all we have to do is take this fraction and subtract one of these fractions and make sure it equals this. So if 5 fifteenths plus 6 fifteenths equals 11 fifteenths, then that means that, to check our work real quick, 11 fifteenths minus 6 fifteenths should equal 5 fifteenths. And it does, because 11 minus 6 is 5. So that means that this is a correct answer. All right, we live from Cheney University in my office doing all this math. Peace.